Welcome, travelers, to another episode of the Time Travel Trio podcast. I'm Jen.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Hy.
And we're the Time Travel Trio. So today we actually have a very special guest on for this project. He does his own podcast called Zedis the Podcast, where he reviews Disney Channel original movies, which is awesome. So we have Zach Heltzel on today. Yay!
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
So exciting. So we chose Minutemen, of course. And I guess we'll go through. I've seen this movie before on Disney Channel. Have you seen this before?
No, it's the first time seeing it for the podcast. I didn't even hear about it until we did the show, this podcast, and you're like, oh, we should do Minutemen. I was like, all right, sure.
Cool.
I'd heard the movie, but I'd never seen it, so this is my first time watching it for this podcast.
Cool. Zach, have you seen it before?
You would think that since I'm trying to fancy myself as like a self-expert on all things Disney Channel movies, that I would have known about this. I had no idea this movie existed until you asked me to be on. My Disney Channel original movie knowledge is capped between the years 1997 and 2004, kind of like that peak time that I was of the age to watch them.
Yeah,
so
me too.
This movie was not on my radar.
Cool. Did you enjoy it?
I mean, I've seen a couple other new era Disney Channel movies, and this wasn't one of the bad ones necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great. It was very much. It seemed like a feature-length YouTube video more than a movie.
Yeah.
But like it was an easy sit. I wasn't fast forwarding like I've done, and like notably done to some of the movies on my podcast.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
No,
I can only imagine.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Did you like it, Hyde?
It was like kind of like Project Almanac. I kept thinking this is what Project Almanac stole their plot from. So I was like, this was like a better version of it. Mm-hmm. Even though it was very low grade or low budget, it had its charm. Is it a good movie? No, but is it like, it's harmless and it's like fun to watch.
I definitely enjoyed it more than some of the like even bigger movies that we've done. I thought it was more fun than something like The Time Machine, which was like kind of a big downer. You know, at least this is like, it's high school, but it's Disney Channel, so you kind of know what you're getting into. It's campy, but it's like, it's short enough that I think it's cool.
Yeah, and I agree too. I think we'll make a lot of comparisons to Project Almanac, just because it's high schoolers traveling through time for their own game.
It's very similar, yeah.
But I mean, this was way better. It made more sense, and it felt more enjoyable than Project Almanac, so it was good.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when Project Almanac was called Welcome to Yesterday?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Did you see Project Almanac?
Yeah, so I was actually working for my college newspaper as like their film critic, and I saw the movie like 2 weeks before it was originally supposed to come out under the title Welcome to Yesterday, and then like 2 days after that press screening, it got made 11 months.
Wow.
So then like a year later it came out as Project Almanac. I haven't seen it since then. I don't know if in that year they changed anything. But
was it bad when you saw it?
Yeah, so like I might not have seen the same movie as you, but I assume I saw the same
Probably
movie.
pretty similar. Project Almanac was pretty bad. It really fell apart.
It's not great.
No, it's really not.
It was painful to watch. Ugh.
Yeah, it was painful. So, but today we're going to talk about Minutemen, which was released in 2008 on Disney Channel, and it was directed by Lev Spiro, and stars Jason Dolley, Luke Benward, and Nicholas Braun, who are TV movie kind of people. I think Luke Benward was in another Disney Channel movie, and Jason Dolley was in Cory in the House?
Yeah.
Okay. I know Nicholas Braun from, wasn't he in the TV 10 Things I Hate About You show? Or something like that?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. One of
He
those.
shows up in a lot of stuff. Like
Yeah.
he plays is like the semi-abusive boyfriend of the older sister in Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
yeah.
snap.
And then I first saw him in Kevin Smith's Red State, where he gets murdered by religious fundamentalists.
Sure. That's funny. It also stars the guy from Vampire Diaries. What's his name? Stephen McQueen. He's what's-her-face's brother. I only watched like the first season.
That can't be a real name.
Stephen
Is he he a junior? Is he Steve McQueen's son? Either the
That's
famous
the
actor or
right,
the Academy
right.
Award-winning filmmaker?
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
He looks exactly like a young Matthew Lawrence. Like
does.
in Brotherly Love or whatever that show was, he looks just like he was
Mm-hmm.
in that show.
Yeah. So this movie description is a comedy sci-fi adventure about 3 high school kids who invent a time machine to spare others just like them from the humiliation they've endured. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, I guess. So let's watch the trailer.
Got my 2 best guys right here.
I'm your favorite, though, right? Dude, don't tell me you're gonna try to steal my girl.
For Virgil, it's a short trip from zero
Build something useful. Something will make me popular.
to hero.
What you're looking at is practical time travel.
You're 14 years old. I'm supposed to believe you can build a time machine?
Get ready.
Whoa.
Get set.
Who wants to be the world's first time traveler?
Go back.
It's terrible that Stephanie fell off the top of the pyramid.
We can change that. We have to go back. The Minutemen must use their powers for truth, justice.
We did it!
Count the minutes until Disney Channel's new original movie,
We created a black hole! We have less than 4 hours to the end of the world.
starring Jason Dolly,
Virgil,
Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Minutemen, run! No!
Minutemen, coming next month to Disney Channel.
I hear you're trying to save the world.
Big Brother's pretty cool, huh?
When you die, can I have your room?
That's hilarious. Great trailer.
Sure.
It definitely pushed the high school drama. It felt like the romance was more in the trailer than even in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should steal my girl, even though that was like
It's like the
not
end
that
of the movie.
important.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're kind of a jerk and you're cheating on her, so why wouldn't I? Anyway,
It's very intense. It's a very intense trailer.
it was
like,
an intense trailer
we got a woman falling off a pyramid and then him like
with a
saying-
fake scream.
fake screen, yeah, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
And it was just like you're like, oh man, it's like, and if you saw the trailer for that, not knowing how Disney Channel movies are done, you would think this is some dark high school comedy thing. Like I don't know, it's like Back to the Future type level of like stakes going on.
The world's gonna end. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big giant black hole.
Even like the giant black hole part of this, it's like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, but you think that's like the central plot of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, the stakes in this movie are really high. However, it seems like every single character is just so nonchalant about everything going on. Like, there's a black hole. The
Yeah.
world's gonna end.
Yeah, I mean, even the
What
government.
do we do?
Yeah, even like the FBI is like, oh yeah, black hole. Okay, well you guys take care of it. You just have fun taking care of it.
That kind of surprised me too. And I had seen this movie, but when they're like, the world's going to end in 2 hours or whatever it is, and he's like, these kids are the only ones qualified to deal with this. And I'm like, they're kind of 14, and okay, I mean, I guess.
I mean, they sent some unknowns into Stargate. They sent Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell didn't know what was going on, and they were like, hey, you know. It's like, I was like, there has to be at least some adult that goes with them. I mean,
Yeah.
but I was.
It's one of those Armageddon situations where they can't send astronauts to go mine, so they have to go send miners to go be astronauts.
Right. Because it would take
You know,
less
blue collar.
time to teach a miner how to be an astronaut than an astronaut how to use a shovel.
Yeah, but the trailer kind of spelled out most of the plot. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, the youngest kid figures out how to make a time machine. They go back in time to help out, you know, some nerds. The nerds can't handle popularity, so they become jerks as well. So they decide to stop using it, but then, what's his name again?
Virgil?
Virgil loves a girl, and so he like uses it more than he should. They make a black hole. The government's there, and they try to save the day.
Yeah.
So
What kind of a name is Virgil? Is that...
It's like, I'm sure there's like a dartboard in Disney Channel HQ. Like, who's our main character's name?
Virgil!
Next week will be Dean.
Yeah. Cool. So I really liked the way that they really threw to Back to the Future a lot in this movie, because it's like you kind of have to because the similarities are so apparent, and they obviously use that as inspiration for a lot of things. Like, even the kid's cat's name is Albert Feinstein.
Right.
And
right.
Doc's dog is Einstein.
Yeah.
So you're like,
And
okay.
the dance is like a 50s kind of.
Yeah,
or-
the 50s dance,
Yeah.
and even like the cat going through time travel first and the stopwatch. It was like very
Oh, yeah,
apparent.
it was like cold and stuff.
And they named their club Back to the Future Club or something.
Right.
So, but I appreciate that they actually did, mention it.
Well, isn't the cat thing? Isn't that from Project Almanac? Like, almost don't they send a cat through time?
No,
Do
no,
they?
they want to, but they're like, no, we can't send a cat back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I think
Theirs is more
no,
dangerous.
Yeah, no, first was a car that got
Oh
launched
yeah,
into
it
the
was in the
wall.
wall.
that's right.
The
And then it
Barbie
was
car.
them. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Was that in the version that you saw, the Barbie car that was stuck in the wall?
I honestly don't remember.
I don't blame you.
That said,
Yeah.
there is one more Back to the Future thing. The vice principal's last name is Tolkien. The actor who plays the bald principal in Back to the Future is named
Oh.
James Tolkien.
Ah.
Wow, that's a deep cut, man.
Also,
Oh,
on
yeah.
that note, the vice principal
Oh yeah,
looks and sounds just like Dean Pelton from Community.
he's
and-
he's a big community.
I love Community, and also he was in Community as the as the fake
doppel-
Dean.
Doppelganger Dean.
He was in the show first as a fake Moby because
Yeah,
they both look like Moby, and then he came on later on as the fake Dean because he was like kidnapped or something like that. It's a whole thing.
Fake
But
Jim
I was
Rash.
like,
I
yeah.
honestly watched it and assumed it was Jim Rash. And
He
then he
sounds-
was like, no, but he looks a lot like him.
No,
And then
his
we looked it
voice
up.
too was like almost spot on the Dean's from
With
the
the
show.
glasses and everything,
glasses,
it was,
yeah.
And can we
There's like
appreciate?
a whole genre of people who are like bald as a cue ball, spectacled. You have
Yeah.
Moby, you have Jim Rash, you have that guy, you have
Right.
Steven Soderbergh.
Yo.
Like,
Mhm.
it's a thing.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a thing.
I like that genre of people.
Yeah, hey, they get work, you know.
They do. They get work being each other, I guess, apparently.
Yeah, true. You can have a good life being an almost Jim Rash person. Though, can we appreciate that this vice principal finally just tells how it is in these high school movies, and he says, I would help you, but I would damage the delicate ecosystem of this high school by helping out the nerds.
And he's totally right.
He's totally
because
right.
It spins out of
It's
control when the quote-unquote nerds get all this power. Like, what was the kid's name? Chester?
Yeah.
The nerdy guy. And he's like, turns into a total jerk.
Yeah.
And you're like, Chester, what the hell is your problem? Why are you streaking in a football game? Like,
We have a whole movie
Like-
about this. It's called The Social Network. And it happens when you get these nerds and you make them super powerful and they're like, haha, I'm going to have sex with Brenda Song.
I feel like, yes, that, and nerds are resentful, kind of, I think, in movies like this. You know, they get picked on, and then when they finally have a little bit of power, they spin it way out of control.
Well, because they didn't earn it, you know.
They didn't earn it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this movie was funny. Like, you know, everything with the vice principal and all this stuff. Like, just the dialogue is pretty cute and funny too. Like, I laughed a couple times.
I wrote down this quote for you. I'm married to science.
Oh yeah, Charlie, the little kid who invented time travel, he was like a younger but cooler Sheldon Cooper, who was like kind of is
Yeah.
awkward and kind of doesn't really understand. But he was like not as
But can I say,
Aspergy.
that actor grows up to be one of the hottest guys to ever be on a Disney Channel movie. He is in Cloud 9, and he is very attractive.
Zach's like, oh yeah, I remember.
I'm literally looking at his IMDb page right now,
Right?
and I'm just befuddled by
Yeah.
how he navigated puberty.
that
Perfectly.
headshot. Like you looked at
Did
it.
it so quickly.
Right.
Like in 2008, I looked exactly the same as I do now.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it, because even when I watched this, I was like looking to see like where, I don't know, like to maybe see a hint of something.
Well, 'cause
Because
he
he's
was-
not unattractive, but he's very much little kid.
I mean, he is like 13 or 14, right, in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the actor is.
And then I watched a clip from Cloud 9, and it's just amazing. His voice is so much deeper and everything. He's super tall. His hair is perfect. His face is perfect. It's like, it blows my mind.
Puberty
It
did
really
like a
does.
train.
Yeah.
He's just one data point on like a long history of children's programming nerds becoming,
Yeah.
really hunky men. Like you have a Cookie from Ned's Declassified. You
Yeah.
have Neville Longbottom.
Yeah.
Yes. Prime example.
So
I know.
good on him.
Yeah, good on him for sure.
He's,
So-
it's like he would do really well in the world of Minutemen.
Yes. So since we were already talking about Project Almanac comparisons, which I have a feeling we'll do a lot of, blatant one was the lottery.
Yeah,
the
Realize
lottery.
that?
Yeah. Though it makes sense. I mean, in Project Almanac, they steal the lottery. Even though they're willing to go back 20 times back in time in history to help their friend's grade, they're not willing to go back in time to like get more money on the lottery, which is weird. But
it was weird.
Whatever, you know. And so in this one, I thought the lottery scene was. I was watching it and saying like, "Wow, these kids are really stupid. Where are your parents?"
I felt like Nicholas Braun probably could have gotten away with buying a lottery ticket because he's so tall. He looked a little bit older than the rest of them. I could have bought that they would maybe have him try, but I guess it
helped them drive to their main purpose of helping nerds out, and plus it was funny to see the metal man do his whole thing.
Yeah, I guess a street performer deserves it. Maybe.
Yeah,
that man is a jerk. Though.
Yeah.
He was willing to take their money to go buy the ticket, but he was not willing to share the winnings on the ticket that he bought, yet had no intention of actually giving back to the kids who bought it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That infuriated me.
And plus,
that man.
You can't trust street performers.
Was he hired from the Santa Monica Pier? Because he looks a lot like the guy who dresses in silver body paint on the Santa Monica Pier. Zach, I don't know. I know you don't live in LA, but if you've ever been in Santa Monica Pier...
I'm frequently in LA. If our schedules would have synced up, I would have been in the room with you guys. But
next time.
No, the last time I was at the Santa Monica Pier, I got eyeballed by these guys in a pickup truck, and it was kind of weird. I'm like, are these guys gonna steal my car? And I got like 20 feet out of the parking lot, and all of a sudden, 10 police SUVs drove up and surrounded the car, and the guys in that truck had guns, and then the police had their guns out.
Oh my god.
And that was the first and last time I'm ever going to Santa Monica Pier.
That's a
understandable.
crazy experience.
But it was delightful.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect that at Venice Beach, but not Santa Monica. That place.
There's so many people there. That's so crazy.
That was their plan.
Yeah, apparently.
On the robot man, it was funny when he got in a car accident. He got hit by an old lady, and there's a headline that just said, "Robot man sues old lady."
How can he sue a woman for hitting his car? I don't know.
It was funny.
But I liked all the karma that happened. I guess with him more apparent than others. But I liked that. I liked the chain reactions that you can't get something for nothing.
Yeah.
Something I appreciated. So...
But here's the thing, and this is a question for you, Zach. I mean, do you think winning the lottery, like, if you could time travel, would winning the lottery be the most effective way to get rich? I mean, or would you want to, like, trade stocks and find out what company's going to merge together and all that jazz? I mean, which is really more money, you think?
See, I've given this a lot of thought, and I feel that whatever takes the least amount of time so I can just go on and do the other things I want to do is the best course of action. So I determined, like, winning a small lottery, not a big one, because that would come with a lot of unwanted attention and, like, people trying to mooch off me. So I'd play, like, a smaller lottery, win about $4 to $5 million, put it in investments that pay out a dividend so I can give myself, like, a guaranteed $100,000 to $150,000 a year just off like dividends and interest. And I feel like at that level, I'm not one to like want for many things. I'd be able to live a comfortable life and do basically what I wanted as long as I didn't have like a spouse or children. And that would be my ideal way to like, one, not have to like evade taxes or like become a white collar criminal, or to have to worry about like anybody kidnapping me and holding me ransom.
Yeah.
It'd be no frills. Granted, I've been watching 11/22/63 on Hulu, another time travel series, and so much of that show is James Franco trying to like evade anything that could complicate being back in time. So the lottery seems really complicated, but if you keep it small and like, I mean, I guess $5 million isn't small, but if you like keep it kind of like within very limited means, like that'd be my ideal way to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I think that's a very good answer.
Now I know what I'm going to do ever I time travel.
I think about this way too much, and I think way too little about things in my life that are actually possible or important.
Right.
Yes.
Don't we all? well.
Yeah, right. I liked the detail that he was the vice principal, not the principal. That always kind of boggles my mind a little bit. Like, what's the purpose of that?
Well, I know vice principals are usually the disciplinarians,
Okay.
as opposed to the principal. The principal's more like administrative. Well, vice principal's like in the trenches, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Seeing what the students are up to.
Yeah. I guess it also could feel not all powerful. You know, that there's someone above them.
Right.
That they answer to. Cool. So, my question, would anyone really care after 3 years that you were embarrassed on a statue?
I don't know. I mean, everyone's like the event, you know.
The event, but
yeah.
It seemed, with how many nerds get picked on in this movie, that seems like there should have been more extreme things like that happening as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, to Chester, he was butt naked in the hallway. I mean, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, like the jocks embarrassing the nerds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I feel like it was mostly between Stephanie and people that knew him more that they brought it up. I think it more just cemented his role in high school early on.
Yeah, but they also said that they had it as the cover of the yearbook for 3 years in a row, which, I don't know. It felt like a stretch to me, but I get the purpose is because they need Virgil's character to have that to go through to whatever he does. So,
yeah, at the end. Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of the scene in Superbad where Dave Franco shows up very briefly to, like, get Michael Cera to, like, participate in their soccer game, and Jonah Hill reminds him of, like, him peeing his pants in the 4th grade. He's like, that was, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't forget. So, that's not perfect writing in the sense that that event isn't, you know, a particularly notable thing to happen.
Yeah.
But, like, the implication of it made sense. I mean, if that's the biggest thing to ever happen to this, like, quiet Utah high school, then, you know,
true.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Virgil is the main character, so it is kind of his story that we're following, and to him it is a big deal because he wanted to go in high school his first day and be cool, and he had this pretty girl and his cool friend who was trying out for football and, you know, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he's a nerd for being a good guy, so, yeah.
Though, to be fair, the kid, Charlie or whatever, he pretty much almost, like, kills people in that thing. I mean, like, I totally would be, like, I wouldn't put him in, like, a cheerleading outfit and hang him from a statue, but I totally would understand, at least the crowd, like, roughing him up. Like, dude, you could have killed people.
Yeah.
Like, can you even drive? You're, like, 9 years old? You can't drive.
I didn't understand how he couldn't stop, because Virgil, like, stops it with the brake pedal, didn't he, or something?
Yeah.
Something really simple.
I think his feet can't reach the brakes.
Oh. Why wouldn't you, like, get down and put, I don't know. Anyway.
Like, if you're smart enough to make a quantum accelerator cart, you're going to have to put brakes in there.
Or at least move your brakes closer to where you are. Where your feet
Or
reach them.
consider that, because he does describe this event as being the best day of his life, perhaps he wasn't braking on purpose.
True.
Perhaps he was laser focused on becoming best friends with Virgil, that he was willing to go to extraordinary measures to sabotage him.
That's true. He could have, like, we didn't know what he was doing before that. He could have been like, oh, I want to be friends with that guy. How do I do that?
And at the
that's
end,
his reason.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But at the end, he does admit, like, like, this is, like, I had a real friend, so... I don't know, that puts a dark twist on his act.
It's kind of,
I mean, you never see brilliant scientists in movies without them being brilliant evil scientists. So
that's true.
Especially because he's so, you know, bite-sized that I feel like he might have, like, you know, little man syndrome. He might be very, like, he's compensating for something. He's compensating with just, you know, sheer malevolence.
Yeah.
But little does he know, if he would just wait a few years, he would be the most popular guy in that school.
Well, plus he was also 10 at that point, so he's young and just kind of...
Oh, yeah, that's true. He skipped grades.
Yeah, he was super young.
He's younger than everyone. Okay. All right.
Easiest way to show someone smart.
Yeah. So let's start getting into the time travel.
Yeah.
Obviously, they time travel. Charlie builds this machine because Virgil was like, can't you do something useful with all your inventions?
Well, so he, the first day of school, he made this quantum accelerator to kind of drive a little car around. And then over the years, I guess he noticed that NASA had stuff and was downloading it. by the high school's DSL, which is pretty funny. I think he said
For 3 years, he had it on permanent loan or something like that.
Yeah, he said DSL's been doing all the work. That's what he
Yeah.
said. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so with NASA's time travel notes and his quantum accelerator, he found out a way to make a time travel device that he said, quote, time travel on a beam of light, which is not true. In fact, light doesn't pass through time. As soon as it's created, I don't know. With relativity, it doesn't actually experience time. It just, from when it's created, it hits its target, because to it, it's traveling the speed of light, which no time passes at that point.
I guess that was their logic, though, that speed of light.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too. It jumps off at that point, and so it might, if you have other stuff going on, like a quantum accelerator, maybe you can use that to just get a little bit faster than that and then go back in time. But, I mean, obviously it's not physically possible, but it's, they took some pretty interesting sci-fi elements and then, kind of made it work.
Yeah.
Using all the school's extra parts.
Yeah, it felt more reasonable, which is ridiculous, but it felt more reasonable than Project Almanac, where they just found these blueprints in the floor of his dad's basement and they could just build it and it was fine. And they were like smart, but also needed the Prius, and that movie was a mess.
That seems a little more believable. I mean, somebody's already done, the hard work to discover time travel, and they just had to, put it together like IKEA furniture. This movie is making us think, scientists and the government kind of know how to do it, but can't figure it out. And this 14-year-old boy is just
true, yeah.
I discovered time travel because light.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. At one point, he was like, no, you guys did it wrong. And he was like, I know everything. I'm sure NASA can figure it out if this kid can figure it out.
Yeah.
But they didn't have school projectors, so
they didn't think outside the box, I guess is the point. But let's play the clip after Charlie has just told Virgil that he invented this with the quantum accelerator.
He can do it. I think he showed him a little computer animation of it happening.
Mm-hmm. He's trying to convince Virgil to do it with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on. Yesterday, you said I should build something useful. Well, time travel's useful.
Charlie, you're 14 years old. You're 2 years away from your driver's license. You still call your underwear underpants. Yet I'm supposed to believe you can build a time machine?
Yes, and based on my specifications, a person can travel up to 48 hours into the past.
That's weak.
Pardon me! How's your time travel formula coming along?
So, it's a short clip, but it's kind of funny. I like his sassiness.
Yeah, and also on the 48-hour notes, they can only be back there for about 10 minutes, I think. I think that's before... At first, okay, right. Yeah. And then they make it easier and better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He finds a way where he's been trying to... He had a backpack. He was trying to work out how to adjust it from the other side. Or something like that.
That's literally in Project Almanac. He puts it in a backpack.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
To make it better. Yeah.
Smooth. I'm just imagining.
They could get away with it.
I'm just imagining these writers from Project Almanac we need to make our movie more like Minutemen.
Minutemen just playing a constant loop in the background.
What did they do right? What did they do wrong? They have the secret.
Yeah, right. Pause it there. Write that down.
Side note: the director of Minutemen actually is a director of a show we were talking about a couple weeks ago, Psych.
Oh,
he directed only one episode of Psych, but he directed one of the best ones, Cloudy with a Chance of Murder, with the forecast, which is,
that's one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah. It's considered through the fandom of Psych one of the top 10 best episodes of the series. It's the only episode he directed, which is kind of odd. Usually, once you direct an episode that people really like, you direct more. But yeah, that was his thing. That was his contribution. He's done other shows, but that was kind of interesting.
That's cool. Have you ever watched Psych, Zach?
I have. I actually, on a fan fiction episode of my podcast, I read a Psych Luck of the Irish crossover.
Cool.
That somebody wrote.
Because Timothy Omenson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the only article of fan fiction we read on it that wasn't Disney Channel erotica, which I do not recommend going down that rabbit hole.
Good to know.
It is a nightmare.
Yeah, I can see it lend itself to it.
He also directed Blue Mountain State: The Rise of Thadland.
That sounds like a winner.
Which kids I went to high school with who are voting for Donald Trump have all said really glowing things about.
That says something about that, I guess. Yeah. It paints a picture.
And we now have at least one listener who is going to read some Disney Channel erotica. We have one. We know there's one of you here. You're going to do it. We know.
Yeah, right. Just don't tell us about it. We don't want to know.
Please don't.
Don't tweet at us.
No, if you're gonna do it, I suggest you stay away from the High School Musical ones.
Oh my god.
The Halloween Town ones, the Xenon ones are, pretty par for the course. The High School Musical ones are really seedy. And don't go to the Johnny Tsunami ones because they're just really misogynistic in a way that will make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
if I ever wrote, it wouldn't be erotica, but if I ever wrote decom fan fiction, I'd probably do Don't Look Under the Bed.
Yeah, I feel like that one is already pulling so much from like Boogeyman lore that it almost is in a certain way fan fiction already.
You could expand it that way.
Like that's when I recommend Disney Channel original movies to people. I almost always go for the horror ones because they already feel almost like anthology sort of content.
Yeah,
like Halloween Town is a Doctor Who episode.
That's probably why we all love it so much.
That's a
right?
good point. I never thought about that.
Nice.
It is, especially the second Halloween Town is time travel, kind of.
Oh.
It's kind of so we might have to do that one later down the road. Do you have a favorite Disney Channel movie?
So all throughout my childhood, my favorite one was Punks. Which I have since rewatched, and it's both better and worse than I remember it being for very different reasons. I think my favorite one that I've covered so far would be Halloween Town, just because it's got so much going for it as a strong, independent teenage lead. It has Debbie Reynolds being a kooky, just weirdo Halloween voodoo lady. It has April O'Neil from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles playing an uptight mother who wears denim from head to toe. It just has everything that I want in a movie.
Yeah,
it's true. And they made more of them, but yeah, the first one is very solid narrative, I think.
Was it Jessica Alba in Punks?
Yes, she was.
Okay, I remember that. I was like, Punks.
Punks. Henry Winkler's the villain.
Wow.
I don't remember
Randy Quaid is the dad. And, he's currently on the run from the feds right now, so that's something that's fun.
Right.
Henry Winkler in Arrested Development, though.
Yeah.
One of the greatest. We need to do an Arrested Development podcast.
Disney Channel original movies, I know it's slowed down, but during their heyday, they got some really legitimate character actors to be in it.
Yeah.
I think because there's these character actors who, they always have to be the sidekick or a very small character, and then they had to get a chance to actually play some fleshed out characters. Even though it was corny and cheesy, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Particularly if they had kids, you could show your family a movie that you were in.
Yeah, cool. So, one thing that I do like about Minutemen is that we see all these chain reactions and consequences of their time travel, that it's not just they time travel and then it doesn't change anything or it doesn't affect anything, but it affects, obviously we talked about the nerds a little bit, but the timeline can change in this, in these rules, which is kind of cool, but there are no duplicates.
Yeah, that's,
very purposefully.
That's what the plot hole is, because at the end they see themselves being carried away.
They do?
Yeah.
When?
They see them when they're
watching the football.
At the end, they see themselves. Otherwise, there's only one of them every time, which is...
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens to at the football game, when the streaker happens, they're in the stands watching the game. And then they go back to save him from the streaker not being there. So were they still in the stands watching everything happen? Do they just disappear for that little interval? That's a little plot hole that I noticed.
It also bothered me when the first time when they helped Chester and brought him their clothes. I was like, shouldn't there be the original them standing at those stairs watching this go down?
That's probably the biggest plot hole of their time travel is they never address the duplicates, although Virgil does ask Stephanie at the end, was I just here or did you just see me? And she said no. So that's kind of left open, but they address it lightly, but that's a plot hole with their time travel.
How did you guys feel about the fact that at the very end, after they saved everything, that it went back to them, but like the day that they first time traveled. So it kind of quote unquote erased everything that they had done.
I kind of like that because now if they were to come back to the time when they left, they would have been heroes. Their lives would have been like way different. Everyone would have been like, "Oh, you guys are heroes. You're popular." But now they're back to where they're just nerds.
And no one knows who.
No one knows. Yeah, and they still lived through that. They still grew. And then at the end, Stephanie still went with Virgil, and Zeke, is that his name? The tall guy. He still met the two girls, and Charlie still kissed the other girl. So they all kind of ended up at the same point in the relationships, but without the huge.
They didn't change who they were as people, which I guess is the point.
Right. Yeah.
Well, for the most part, but they still remembered.
Yeah, I mean they grew, but they didn't their lives aren't different now.
Yeah. What did you think?
I thought narratively it made sense. I mean, for a moral standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, time travel wise, like the science of it, I guess actually it kind of makes sense. Like you have to go back to the beginning of like the time travel, like no more time travel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think too much into it, to be quite honest. I was just like, oh, okay, they're back, and now no one remembers. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Edge of Tomorrow, a little bit. Totally resets.
At the end of that movie, it
yeah,
resets. Yeah,
totally resets just to like the point before any of it happened.
What about you, Zach?
I think it's kind of a weird sort of theme that they're operating on. So let me try to put this together. So they go back to where they were. Nothing's really changed, but they've grown as people. They learn that it's okay to not be popular. It's okay to be yourself and have your close, tight-knit group of friends. That's more important. But at the same time, all three of them are different in the sense that they now have girlfriends or romantic leads that they otherwise didn't have.
Yeah.
So what I get from that is, hey, it's okay to be a nerd, but you better have a girlfriend.
That's kind of true. Yeah, it's like,
and that's a weird message to send to children.
Because it almost should have been, this story should have been, hey, it's great because we're all still friends. Because they kind of did that, and then they talked about the girls. Like, I still met you, I think Zeke says it to Virgil, like, at the end of the day, it was still a great ride or something like that. So
yeah, and plus, like, I mean, it's also unrealistic because, like, the guy won't ever get the girl that he's pining for that he's been friends with forever. And as a nerd, you don't have girls come up to you and kiss you or, like, fawn over you. I mean, like, that's a little unrealistic. They're like, oh, nerds, we love nerds. At least when I grew up, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to be like some sort of beta male friend zone wish fulfillment thing, and it was like, it was weird.
Exactly.
I wasn't big on that.
Yeah.
Especially, too, at the end, because, like, at that point, Stephanie didn't know. I think she was suspicious of her boyfriend, that she was cheating on her, but at that point, she wasn't.
She was kind of blasé about it still. And then she didn't really believe. I mean, she was like, well, I kind of knew, but yeah, I want to talk about that since you brought it up. Would you ever help your friend from, like, cheating on his girlfriend? Like the way that he asked Virgil to? I mean, I'm assuming you guys are all going to say no, but I kind of wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, it's not like...
I guess for him, it's like, if I help him, he'll let me be a popular kid. I think was kind of where I saw maybe his logic was for possibly helping. But I don't know. I had a hard time kind of seeing Virgil's hesitation. Well,
also at that point, Virgil, like, it was pretty obvious that he was going to be with her because she made it pretty obvious that she's like, oh, it's okay, we're together. You're still my friend, Yeah. And like, he was kind of over being time traveling now. So I was surprised that he was like, oh, yeah, I'll help you out now. All of a sudden.
Yeah, I was surprised why he would consider it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think it seems out of character for his character to want to do that. And plus, it's not like his friend is like, oh, I messed up and like, me and this girl, like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like his friend was very genuinely wanted to make things right in the relationship either.
He wanted to find a way to keep both.
Right.
I think.
Right, exactly. So that's what kind of made it feel. It wasn't like I made this horrible, horrible mistake. I want to go back and never do it again, never talk to that woman. It's like, hey, can you make it so like I don't get caught, basically?
Yeah.
So I didn't really get that.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Well, this whole situation makes it very clear, at least to me, that Virgil is a low-key misogynist. Because, I mean, his primary reason to not help the guy is because he wants to date her. It doesn't cross his mind at all that she's like one of his oldest friends, and that's why he shouldn't help this guy.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's like, you people.
Yeah, it was very...
Well, it makes sense now why the director went on to do Blue Mountain State.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
But, on that note, I did like the conversations between Virgil and Stephanie, though. I thought that their dialogue, at least, was entertaining and cute. Like, with Project Almanac, every time the kids talked to each other, I was like, shut up, I don't care.
Yeah.
At least in this movie, they were like, it was funny and kind of natural. I believed them as kids, it wasn't, like, painful. It was, they're funny and charming.
Yeah, they were a little bit relatable, I'd say. So when they time travel, we never see them go back from, like, so they traveled 2 days ago. We never see them in the 2 days ago going back to the present until the very end. So my question was, can they only, because the end is kind of an exception, can they only go back when the machine was built? So, like, they built it, and then they have to wait 2 days, and then they could use it?
That's what I noticed, too. They didn't mention that, but I thought that was a good touch, because, like, they come out of the machine.
Yeah. And
so they can only go through the vortex if the machine was there.
Yeah.
And so they never mentioned that as a rule, but I took that as a rule, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
It seems like a rule, because the only time when it's an exception is when they go into the black hole.
Right.
Which we can get into.
Yeah, I'll get into that later on. Yeah.
You want to do it now?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, obviously it's impossible. I appreciated that they use black holes and wormholes, because those are related in, theoretical physics, but if you have a black hole, it's just going to suck up the Earth. It's not going to hang out for a little while and then
slowly expand out the football field. How close were those people, too, that they just, like,
right? Hey, let's get close to that.
We got to look at that black hole.
Let's get close to the thing that could rip us apart and turn us into human spaghetti.
Yeah, but black holes don't just hang out in a room for a while. They would suck in everything and just destroy the Earth pretty quickly.
Would it cause a black hole in the way that they kind of explain it?
No.
That can continuously use time travel in the same location?
No, you can only create a black hole with intensely dense mass. At a black hole, time is fucked up, but fucked up time doesn't create a black hole.
Okay.
So you can't just like mess with time and then a black hole appears.
Yeah.
You can make a black hole with energy too. It's theoretical and it takes more energy than physically possible to do. That's called a Kugelblitz. A black hole made of energy. It's theoretical, but that's also a way to do it.
Fake ass word.
It's German.
Okay.
Yeah, but
it sounds like the name of a failed tech startup.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It probably is one.
Yeah. So yeah, energy is matter, and matter is energy. It's E equals MC squared. So you can make a black hole with intense amounts of either one. They just mess with time to create one, so that's not true. And they go through the black hole as a wormhole, which is a theory, but I don't know. It would destroy you before it does anything like that. They would have been obviously destroyed. Mm-hmm. But I like that when they were going through the hole, it like kind of spaghettified them, which is what happens in a black hole. You would get stretched out, and they were kind of like that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, again, they took some sci-fi concepts and then kind of had fun with it. So I appreciated it, but obviously it's impossible, and
Did you like in that class that the teacher was talking about Tesla's man out of time?
Yeah, Tesla's cool. He had some theories about energy and stuff like that. He wasn't like a time travel.
No, but I think it was because the book was a man out of time. It's kind of I guess, because time travel.
Yeah, there were times in there.
Can I please take issue with your statement that separating Tesla and time travel? Because Tesla, in the film The Prestige, was played by David Bowie, a man whose style and influence transcends time.
That's true.
So,
That is true. That's a great movie.
Life on Mars.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we mentioned this. I think the purpose, at first, Virgil's purpose, I guess, of using the machine was to be rich and popular. And then they realized instead to use it as what they call silent heroes for the uncool, which in theory is good, but then it kind of backfires because they change what the vice principal says, they change the status quo of high school. So, yeah, I liked that. I liked that they used it for that instead of like what did they use it for in Project Almanac?
To go to Lollapalooza.
Yep.
So they can listen to Imagine Dragons because it was an MTV movie, and so of course a concert is the greatest thing you can do with time travel.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't ever want to see that movie ever again. There was a lot of high school tropes. He called them chicks. There was that.
I know, right? Really yeah, just hearing it is just so.
Chicks, man, chicks everywhere.
Chicks and dudes.
Chicks and dudes. I liked the booger joke. That was pretty funny. It was very freshman.
Yeah. I liked his sister, Virgil's sister. She was pretty funny. Her line was when she came down to meet Virgil's new friend. She found out he was ugly, and so she was mad. And
she looked all cute, and then she was like, "Ew, you're gross."
Yeah, and they're like, "Get out of here!" And she was like, "Fine, just chill. I'm out of here." It looks like I walked into an ugly contest.
That was good.
That was pretty funny.
Sassy little sister.
I was very impressed by Zeke's ability to take an insult from the little sister. He just brushes it off so effortlessly that I was like, that would have been a knife in my heart. Even somebody who I value their opinion, not even a modicum of a micron of I just do not value their opinion at all. If they said to me what that little girl says to him, it would have just destroyed me. It was just so, that level of confidence. I would
he's
like
gross.
That.
Yeah,
Zeke knows what he's about. He's okay with that. I mean, he at the end of the movie, he's able to have two girlfriends at the same time. So clearly, Zeke has figured out life.
I wanted to mention the montages. They had a cleaning / setup montage, and they also had a hero montage where they were two separate montages that were pretty standard.
So, do we fully talk about the rules? That,
yeah.
That,
they can change stuff.
They can change stuff. Yeah. There's no duplicates.
One timeline.
Yeah.
Until the end when there was duplicates.
Until the end,
that's a little bit of a plot hole, but.
The consequences we talked about. Of course, the chain reactions. We did the scientific accuracy of the machine and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not possible,
but nothing close. Obviously, it is relevant to the story. The entire story is about it. And the close inserts are kind of irrelevant because it's 2 days ago.
Although they do wear snowsuits that are
That's true. They do wear the cool snowsuits. Did you like those, Zach?
No. I thought they looked like they were about to slice open a tauntaun on the Hoth.
Yes.
It was just...
It was a little Star Wars.
It didn't really... They were so, white that it didn't seem to complement the otherwise very typical art direction in the film, where they just looked so weird. The hallways and stuff were all, beige and olive green, like a high school hallway would be. So now there's just these blinding white snowsuits, and it wasn't contrasting very well. And I was like, oh guys, could have, maybe used this.
Yeah.
Right. Can I also say, Chester, when they give Chester his clothes to look cool, that is exactly how I would expect some ignorant white people in Utah to think. This is what make a black person look cool. Give him a few chains and baggy pants.
Yeah, right. Pop his collar.
It was like a pimp's golf outfit.
It was.
Straight out of the movie Who's Your Caddy?
Yeah.
Right. Oh. Points for Who's Your Caddy reference.
Exactly.
That's a deep cut.
I wanted to mention at one point when they saved the football game, Virgil took a videotape back with him.
Yeah, that was in my notes.
So that way, when he went back to the present, it was still the old time. So when after he saved the day and they won the game, he showed them the video of him failing the game. I thought it was a pretty interesting little thing.
Yeah, I liked that touch, and I liked that he wanted to show him that he's not as cool as he thinks he is. That he actually did lose the game once.
Yeah,
it's good for his ego.
Yeah.
So I think those are all my notes I wanted to hit on. Did you have anything else that we didn't touch on?
No, I mean, no. But Chester one was the one. I was just I was watching, I was like, oh, what's going on?
I have one more. Chekhov's grappling hook. Zeke has his grappling hook the entire movie, and then finally at the end, when they're trying to get back to the wormhole to get back to the present day, they bust it out, but they don't really need it.
They don't need it because they're going around a roundabout.
Yeah, they do a whole circle instead of just turning left. Just turn left.
But he like did it, and then they went around a circle, so they didn't even need it. They would have just gone around a circle and gone the other way anyway.
Yeah. Let Zeke have his moment.
I thought they were going to use it for... I couldn't remember why he was going to use it, but I thought they were going to use it, to like get back up or something.
That's what I thought too, but nope, just to go around the light post that they didn't need to do. And I was like, all right, well, let's check off shopping then. They just had to pay it off.
What about you, Zach? Did you have any other notes?
I have 2 other things. One, I thought that scene near the end where Virgil and Derek are like trading barbs with each other was just so funny to me, particularly the line, "You'll always be a nerd," and then Virgil's like, "You'll always be a jerk."
Ooh.
It was such a lag. Girl, don't you go there.
Like... Virgil v. Derek, Dawn of Justice, right?
Yeah. That would actually be more interesting
also,
than that movie.
Virgil's 2008 haircut.
Oh, yes, I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about the hair. The swishy hair that when you flick your head, it like still looks like and it's like fanned out. It's very 70s almost. Like
It's Bieber's haircut, right, at the time? Wasn't that how Bieber had it?
Yeah, it's very Bieber, but it's also like kind of Charlie's Angels-ish because it flips out at the end a little bit.
Back then was when I was in my like peak MySpace, I'm not emo, I'm scene phase.
Sure.
And my hair, it wasn't like that sandy, dirty blonde that Jason Dolley is rocking, but like my hair would do that. And around that time, Shot of Love with Tila Tequila was on MTV. And I had that haircut, and on multiple occasions, I got confused in public with the contestant Danny, who apparently had that same haircut that me and Virgil both had.
Sure.
And I've never shaved my head before that point. But that was the year I went from like full scene emo hair flip to, well, I kind of regret, I should have got like a 2 all around, but I got like a straight up 0, so I became like a skinhead.
Oof.
Wow.
And since I live in Arizona, where, you know, buying Confederate flags is comically easy to do,
wow,
that was not a good look for me.
Yeah.
Right.
But what a legacy with hair.
Yeah, yeah, right?
Like that guy, and particularly that guy from Shot of Love.
Yeah, that's so specific.
Yeah.
That's funny. Cool. Well, thank you, Zach, for doing this with us and bringing your expertise.
No, thank you for having me. And I just remembered one thing, kind of tying back to something that was mentioned in the beginning, or in the middle of the podcast, rather, that I should have mentioned at the time, but I just didn't realize it. Somebody mentioned character actors showing up in Disney Channel original movies all the time. Well, I just remembered that in Don't Look Under the Bed, Groundhog Day's own Stephen Tobolowsky plays the father.
True.
And, like, you don't get more of a character actor than him.
Yeah.
Especially one who is in arguably the best time travel movie of all time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah,
I like that, actually.
That's true. If you guys have never seen Don't Look Under the Bed, it's kind of fun.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
There's
Stephen
a scene in that movie where, like, the boogeyman is coming out of the bed and the room fills with fog and all the lighting turns
so dramatic.
like purple pink. It's like the most Tumblr pale glow aesthetic thing to ever be in a movie. It's beautiful.
It's awesome, yeah. That's really fun. It's
Boogeyman
like
likes to party.
bright purple too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. So, would you guys want to experience this time traveling 48 hours in the past / maybe going through a black hole?
Yeah, I think if I was in high school, I think it'd be fun to do.
Yeah, I would do it too. I think it'd be cool.
It's cool up until the black hole part, but other than that, it actually has one of the least potentially harmful ways. So
right, that's why.
Maybe it's also because everyone's just so nonchalant about a black hole that could destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm going to say maybe on this one.
Yeah, it's less dire than Back to the Future.
Yeah,
with its time travel rules.
For sure. Zach, would you want to experience it?
In high school, yes, because it felt like 2 days could be an eternity and so much could happen and like the stakes were so high.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I could go back 2 days, unless if there was like a serious thing like, you know, preventing a death or, you know, something like life-changing. Otherwise, going back 2 days, it would change nothing in my life.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think high school is the good place to have something like that. That's a good point.
Unless it's on like a Sunday, you get back to a Friday to have more of a weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only reason why now I would do it.
For sure. Okay, so let's do our ratings. So, Zach, we usually rate the movie, and then we rate the time travel. Or we do... Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, out of 10. So, Hyde, do you want to start?
Yeah, as a movie, I mean, as a Disney Channel movie, I'd rank it a little bit higher, like a 6 or a 7. It's one of the better ones I've seen of Disney Channel, even though it's very low budget. But as like a movie itself, I'm going to give it a 5. It's harmless. There's nothing really offensive about the film other than they're kind of, as I agree with Zach, they're kind of misogynistic undertones. But, I mean, it's cute. It's pretty funny. And it doesn't last too long. The story hits and then it's over. Yeah. And that's appreciated. So maybe like a 4.5.
You keep going down.
Yeah, I went down a little bit. I thought about a scene and I was like 4.5.
Yeah. I actually will give it like a 6.5. I definitely agree. I think it's there are worse movies, Disney Channel and non-Disney Channel, that we've done. And I liked it. I thought it was easy to watch, and the characters weren't super annoying. The jerk character was a jerk, but that was pretty much it. There was a very High School Musical scene when he climbs on her balcony and like brings her food. That was very High School Musical-ish.
Yeah.
Of him.
I agree with you, Jen. I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It was funny enough. It was charming. Like the dialogue was interesting. I thought it was. I mean, compared to Project Almanac, I was relieved. Thankfully, and so I believe them all as kids, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. So I give it a 6.5 as well.
Cool, Zach.
I would give it 5 out of 10 hair flips.
Yeah. That's good. Cool. So time travel rating.
Time travel rating. I'm actually going to give it a little bit higher because even though it's like ridiculous in the universe that they've created, there's actually some like semblance of crazy assortment of science. It doesn't make sense when you really break it down, but at least it seems like there's some thought put to it. They're not like, I just built this time machine because I'm a super genius. Like, they actually spend a good deal of time breaking down how he's going to put this time machine together, which I was actually kind of surprised about.
And sorry to interrupt, I liked how they were constantly tweaking it. And, making changes to it, and they always had like some sort of tool, and they were cranking something. I don't know.
Right? No, I like that they were always calibrating the machine, making it better, improving it. I think I agree with you on that. So I'm going to give it 5.5 on its time travel rating.
Should I go?
Yeah. Go
I'd give the time travel, like a 6.5, I guess, out of 10, because I like that it was somewhat more thought out than even something like Men in Black 3, which we did last episode.
Yeah.
That time travel felt very sloppy. This, at least, I liked the consequences, even though there weren't duplicates, really, other than at the end, which I like duplicates. But 6.5 out of 10, I think is good.
Yeah, so obviously they did some things that weren't possible, but of course you have to in time travel movies. But they started off at some pretty theoretical, real stuff, Yeah. And I thought it was interesting. I thought they actually kind of were consistent up until the end, where there were duplicates, but there weren't before. And those kind of plot holes kind of took some points off. And the way that I kind of don't like when people throw in black holes and wormholes, just like nothing, like, oh, black hole, wormhole. So I kind of docked off some points, but, it wasn't terrible. I thought it was interesting, and it wasn't glaringly bad. So I give it a 5 out of 10 for the time travel.
Cool.
I would give it a 5 out of 10 as well, just because it's not particularly ambitious in its time travel goals. It's pretty just, par for the course. And then it doesn't deliver on, the rules it sets particularly well, but it's not a travesty either. Like, it's not, primer level difficult, nor is it primer level successful.
Yes.
It's just like, we can travel through time, and it doesn't really make any sense, but just roll with it and don't think about it too much, and it'll get us through the story. So, it's serviceable. Fine. Sure.
Agreed.
Cool. Okay, so for our next episode is Matt's choice. What'd you pick?
Yeah, so this is the second in the McAdams trilogy movies, About Time, from 2013. This is the movie where Rachel McAdams is married to a time traveler. So she, again, is not time traveling. But
in any of them, she is not the one who's time traveling.
But the synopsis is at age 21, Tim discovers he can travel in time and change what happens and has happened in his own life. His decision to make his world a better place by getting a girlfriend turns out not to be as easy as you might think.
And of course, it also stars Domhnall Gleeson, who most recently was in Star Wars, but he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Hux.
He was in Looper.
And Revenant.
He was in Looper, yeah. Wait, who was he in Looper? Oh, he was the guy.
Yeah.
He was the guy.
Wasn't that him?
No. He's definitely in something that we did.
He's in The Revenant, who is, he's good at Ex Machina.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Oh, he was in Harry Potter, that's
right.
Was. Yeah. He's a Weasley, I think.
Yeah, every time we're like, oh yeah, he's a Weasley.
Yeah, he's Bill Weasley. Okay, yeah. See, I knew it was something. Cool. So, obviously, this Disney Channel movie, I looked it up, but on Rotten Tomatoes, there isn't really a rating for Minutemen because there aren't that many reviews, so we won't do that. But definitely have to say a big thanks to Zach for doing this with us. This was awesome.
Yeah, definitely check out his podcast,
yeah,
Zetas La Podcast.
Zetas La Podcast. He's done a lot of episodes that are all awesome, so you can even, pick which movies you know, which ones you don't, and thank you so much for doing this with us.
No, thank you guys for having me so much. And I should have mentioned this earlier. Why is this movie called Minutemen? It could just be called Time Travel Trio.
Yeah.
It should, right? That would be... It's super true, but I'm also a little bit glad that it isn't, because it would be weird if that's where we got our name from this movie.
Right.
But they are a time travel trio, so it fits very well that we've covered this movie.
I know.
It makes a lot more sense than them being the Minutemen, which is like a militia from the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And a printing press company. A printing services company.
Yeah. I liked Snowsuit Guys better almost a little bit.
Right.
Social media plugs, we are at Time Travel Trio on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on Facebook, the Time Travel Trio podcast. We're on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. Please rate, subscribe, follow us on all of those. We would love to hear from you. Personal...
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Foreman in Space.
I am also on those at Jen Marlis.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Robinson is Hyde.
And make sure you follow Zach on Twitter at Zach Heltzel. And make sure you follow his podcast at Zetas La Podcast on Twitter and listen on iTunes. Okay, so with that, we are...
Yeah, with that, we are out of time.